The share of appraisal waivers for both GSEs combined for December 2023 stood at 12%.
Originating from deep inside the Rocky Mountains, transported through the power of the internet, and arriving inside your tiny earbuds. It's the Appraiser Coach Podcast.
Minisode.
All right, welcome one and all to another minisode. Dustin Harris, a quick update on waivers today. First, want to pause and remind you that we are, of course, sponsored by, well, Synapse. Synapse will help you to support your adjustments. What does that mean? Well, I'll tell you more in just a few minutes, but check it out by going to spark4appraisers.com. Again, spark4appraisers.com. One of my wonderful Dream Team members, my mastermind members, sent me a publication that I thought was quite interesting, that I felt like should be shared. And the reason it should be shared, folks, is I think appraisers worry, maybe even daily, about their future, about whether or not they're going to have a job in the future. And one of the elements, one of the ingredients in that worry seems to be waivers. I hear it often when I am doing appraisal coaching, and we're talking about the future of appraisals and what individuals can do to get ready for the future of appraisals. And they say, you know, Dustin, what about these waivers, right? What do I need to be worried about these waivers? There was a report that came out recently by the AEI. Now, I know most of you are going to say, well, I've never heard of the AEI. What is the AEI? Well, I will give a link in the show description so you can go there and check this out. Don't just take my interpretation, do your own, but it's AEI.org. Okay. The AEI stands for the American Enterprise Institute. Okay. Now, you may be familiar with those that head up. It's basically a think tank, folks, and AEI. At least this part, I don't know a lot about AEI, but I do know that that the two individuals that are on as the author of this report, if you will, is an individual that I know personally, that I've talked to personally. His name is Ed Pinto. You probably know the name. He is a senior fellow and co-director of AEI Housing Center. And Tobias Peter. I may have met Tobias. I don't know. I apologize, Mr. Peter, if we've met and I don't remember. But he also is a senior fellow, co-director of the AEI Housing Center. Okay, so that's where this report came from, and it basically is a report called the prevalence of GSE appraisal waivers. And by the way, this was done as of December of 2023, so it's pretty up to date. As far as the data goes. I want to break the data down in just a little bit and talk to you about how many waivers are being completed currently when it comes to the GSEs, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac. We're going to do that right after we take a quick break and talk a little bit about my favorite support for my adjustments. And that, of course, is Synapse. Synapse, folks, is a program that helps you to be a better appraiser. Helps you be a better appraiser because you don't have to lick your finger and stick it in the air and say, gee, I'm going to make this adjustment or that adjustment because it just makes sense, or that's the way I was taught, or that's the way my mentor always did it. Folks, how about we actually have support for our adjustments, and Synapse will not do it for you. It will help you to do it right. Check them out by going to spark4appraisers.com. Again, it's spark4appraisers.com. Welcome back to the program, everybody. We're talking today about a report by the AEI, Mr. Pinto, Mr. Peter over at the AEI, a think tank, and specifically the housing side of that think tank. The report is called Prevalence of GSE Appraisal Waivers. Let me just break it down. In fact, the first key point, I'm just going to read the first key point from the article. And again, I recommend that you go to the article yourself and that you find out for yourself. Don't just take Dustin Harris's word for it. This is my interpretation of their data, but I am going to read directly from the report. The key point number one is the share of appraisal waivers for both GSEs, so we're talking Freddie and Fannie, that's my commentary, by the way, combined for December 2023 stood at 12%. Let me repeat that. The share of appraisal waivers for both GSEs combined for December 2023 stood at 12%. Now it goes on and talks a little bit about that being, down 0.3 points from last month, blah, 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 blah. Okay, you can get into the details of this, folks, and I suggest that you do. There's a lot of breakdown. They talk about the number of appraisal waivers used, for specific things. I can tell you that there's a lot of detail here that we don't have time for on a mini-sode. Okay, the point of today's mini-sode is, first of all, to drive you to the article. They do not purchase sponsorship here on the program. I have no bias as far as this particular report, but I do find it interesting if you are questioning how many appraisal waivers are being done out there. Okay, it's not as many as you would think, folks. Let's just bottom line it. Okay, could that increase? Certainly. Could it decrease? Certainly. Could go any which direction. Okay. But if you're losing sleep at night, folks, wondering about whether or not you are going to have a job in the future, I don't think appraisal waivers, at least currently in their current state, is something you need to worry too much about. Thank you for joining me today, folks. I mentioned this came from a member of my mastermind. And one of the great things about the mastermind is we're sharing all kinds of information about the appraisal world and how to be a better business owner all the time. Not just at our meetings where we're meeting in person, but we stay in contact throughout. Every day we're talking to one another. It's a great group to be a part of. If you are ready to take your appraisal business to the next level and you want to find success in doing so, I highly encourage that you join the Dream Team. Check out my new website, theappraisercoach.com, for more information.
You've been listening to the Appraiser Coach podcast with Dustin Harris. If you like what you hear, please give us a 5-star rating and post a short review on iTunes. For more in-depth insider information on how you can make more money as a real estate appraiser, visit theappraisercoach.com and sign up for the All-Star team today. Thanks for joining us. And now, get out there and create some value.